If I dyed my hair again today and enjoyed the fresh new hair color for a few dye cycles, only to find out that I don't want to dye my hair anymore, there are a few things that I would do differently the second time growing out. But before we get to that, we have to talk about why would somebody who's fully grown out want to dye their hair again? Number one is that the honeymoon is over.
Yep, the honeymoon's over.
When you first decide to ditch the dye and you get past the anxiety phase, you enter into the badass phase.
I'm like a superhero or something.
Where you feel like you're just doing something so radical and so against the norms of society that you want to tell the world.
I'd kind of want to shout it from the rooftops.
You fielded all the negative comments during the decision-making phase telling you how you were gonna look old, you were gonna look washed out, you were gonna look like you've given up, and you made it to the other side. But with that being said, you suddenly realize that unless you want to go through this process all over again, you're gonna have to live with gray hair for the rest of your life.
So he's stuck like this forever?
I think that sometimes that when you make the decision to go gray, you don't realize that after going through, like in my case, 4 years of growing out your gray hair, that I could undo all of this in just 30 or 45 minutes of applying the hair dye.
That was quick.
So once you go gray, you complete your journey, you're sort of stuck with the color unless you want to dye it again. And if you're like me, sometimes you just want to change your look. The second reason you might dye your hair again if you've already grown it out is plain old curiosity. Just like when you decided to grow out your hair dye because you were curious about what your gray hair was going to look like. After 4 years, I've totally forgotten what my dyed hair looks like. And there is this reality of people perceiving you as being older, whether I want to admit it or not.
Welcome.
I'm just keeping it real here that the reality is that I do get offered senior discounts.
My golden girl.
And at first it was kind of funny and it really didn't bother me. But then something inside you starts to wonder. Because the whole time you've been growing out your gray hair, you have been getting older.
How sad are we?
Yeah, I know. You know what? We're not sad. We're not sad. We're just not 21 anymore, you know?
So while I focused on skincare and other ways to look vibrant, there is a nagging little voice inside your head that wonders, what would I look like if I dyed my hair? It's almost like you forgot. Curiosity. The third reason that you might dye your hair again after going completely gray is that you're going through a bad time. You know what I'm talking about when you're going through something difficult and you feel the urge to make a massive change. What I would do differently if I had to grow out my hair dye all over again. Because I already know that if I were to cave in and dye my hair again, I would probably be instantly filled with regret.
Get away from me!
It was a mistake. I made a mistake, okay?
Let's face it, this journey is long, and like I said, you can undo it so quickly. I think instant regret would almost be inevitable.
I state my regret.
Like a hair dye remorse or something like that. And that would be really bad because it's gonna take a long time to grow it out again. Number one, I would probably go shorter next time. Here's the thing, I'm a proponent of keeping your hair long during your entire gray hair grow out. I did it, I love long hair, and I kept my hair long the whole time. But my hair took 4 years to grow out. And knowing this now, and knowing how long it took, I probably would go shorter just to make it go a little bit faster. So I'd probably cut it to maybe about my shoulders, enjoy the shorter haircut for a while, and then just let it all grow out. That isn't to say though that I would tell somebody else you need to cut your hair short to go gray. Not at all.
If you've been wanting to go gray, but you're worried that you're gonna have to cut your hair short, you don't.
Just know that if you choose to keep your hair long, it is gonna take you longer to get to the finish line. The second thing that I would do is I would run, not walk, to a hairstylist and get it color blended much sooner than I did.
That's my boss. Yeah,
I'm fast. I'm very fast.
I have no regrets on getting my hair color blended.
My roots didn't bother me as much as the red, brassy ends of my dyed hair, and color blending took care of that.
There's really no badge of honor to doing this thing called turkey. You really don't have to. Many women do, and I think it's awesome, and they rock that two-toned hair like nobody's business. But you know yourself, and only you can say what you can and cannot handle. When you think about it, you were spending all that time and all that money in the chair, getting your hair dyed to cover up your grays anyway.
Grayer than a Seattle Cinco de Mayo for years now.
Really? Jesse, Dino, sorry, can we reschedule? It's a battle of the blue and gray here.
So maintaining a gray hair color blending by having toner put on periodically is only temporary. Once you get the initial process done, it really doesn't cost a lot to maintain the toner. The third thing that I would do differently if I had to grow out my gray hair again is I wouldn't worry about it so much. Most of what I worried about never happened. Nobody came to my face saying how ridiculous I looked with two-toned hair. I got a new job during my grow out. I've dated during my grow out. I've gone to weddings, I've gone to concerts, and I've celebrated the holidays during my grow out. I've gone on vacation during my grow out. I didn't stop living because I was growing out my gray hair. In fact, I was more enslaved when I was dyeing my hair, chasing those roots every time they popped up. Oh my gosh. So yeah, if I had to grow out my gray hair again, I would do a few things differently.
But I have no regrets doing it the way that I did it.
I wouldn't change a thing.